Well, hi, Jeff Shore back with you as we continue our series on sales follow-up and what to do after the customer says no. And as we think through our strategy of making that phone call, one of the strategic steps that we can take is to think through, how do I plan for follow-up success? Because you can start planning your follow-up all the way back to when they are still in the office. So we're going to look at 7 things that will help you to plan for a great call. Now, that starts with getting the right information, that basic information. You need to know how to contact this person. Now, I know a lot of salespeople will just default to say, well, I'll send them a text or I'll send them an email. But I want to suggest to you that next to face-to-face communication, voice-to-voice communication is most effective. So if you can get their phone number while you are talking in the first place, that'll make all the difference in the world. Now, here's one tip to getting the phone number. Don't ask for it too early. If you ask for it in the first 2 minutes of the conversation, there's not a lot of trust built up. But if you get that phone number a little bit later on, even if it's just sort of an, oh, by the way, you know what? Oh, by the way, sometimes we get information at the last minute that'll be helpful. If I can get your phone number, I promise not to abuse it, but if I can get your phone number, that way, if I need to get something to you urgently, I can call you in a hurry. Do what you need to do, but you really want to have the phone number because the most effective way to follow up is going to be voice to voice. Now, the second thing you can do, even while you're in that initial sales presentation, is to take useful and interesting notes. Now, what will happen here is a lot of salespeople will simply write down what that customer is looking for. They're looking for this price point and these features, and I think you're going to be much better off writing down notes about the customer's life. Because remember what we said, a key to effective follow-up is personalization. I can't personalize if I don't really know their life. So as I'm taking useful and interesting notes about their life, about their family, about their interest, about their current experience, I'll be able to leverage that knowledge when I make my follow-up call. A third thing we can do in order to make for effective follow-up is promise to call while you are still talking to them. So you're still in that initial conversation. This is a great opportunity for you to say, listen, I know you've got some other places to see, so I'm going to call you in a few hours because in the meantime, I'll be able to give you some information about X. You want to have a reason to call, but you want to tell them that you are going to call. This is a very effective way to be able to prime them for that phone call so that by the time you're calling, they already were expecting it. The other thing it'll do is it'll hold you accountable because you're not going to say to somebody, I'll call you in a few hours and then not call them, will you? Of course not. So if you tell them, I'll call you in a few hours, it'll go a long way towards setting the tone for a great follow-up call. Now, here's the next thing you can do, and that is to determine your follow-up strategy as soon as you have completed that face-to-face conversation. So you just met with a customer, you shared your value proposition, you listened to their concerns, they didn't purchase today. What you want to do here is stop as soon as they leave and write down, this is the follow-up strategy that I'm going to follow. This is when I'm going to call. This is why I'm going to call. This is how I'm going to make it personal. You don't want to be making that up when it's time to make the call. You want to determine that follow-up strategy while all of the information is still very fresh in your brain. So do that right away. Now, the last thing you can do just after that initial conversation is send a handwritten note. And I mean immediately. You want it in the mail that day. Now, you might be looking at it and saying, a handwritten note? Who writes handwritten notes anymore? And the answer is nobody, which gives you a tremendous advantage. Let me ask you this question. When's the last time that you got a handwritten note in the mail, a personalized handwritten note in the mail? And you probably can't even think of a time. So if you want to stand out, as soon as that customer leaves, jot down just a note of appreciation for how much you enjoyed chatting with them. This is a great way to extend that relationship and to stand out from everybody else who's out there. All right, so there you have it, some ideas for how to plan for your follow-up success. Hey, listen, greatness doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen because you just stumbled into it. You need to have a strategy. You need to plan for it. You need to carry it out. But if you want to be great at follow-up, you follow your strategy, you're going to separate from everybody else out there, and that is how you are going to serve your customer.